Ethan Reynolds, a formidable and unyielding millionaire with a reputation for ruthless success, found himself striding purposefully through a bustling metropolitan intersection on an unusually bright afternoon. Amid the sea of hurried faces and the constant hum of city life, an unexpected scene froze his steps. His keen eyes caught sight of a disheveled woman clad in threadbare, grimy clothing, seated desolately on a cracked pavement. Next to her, two small girls, identical twins of about 4 years old, clutched their mother tightly, their delicate frames shrouded in tattered garments that told a story of hardship. One of the little girls, her eyes swollen with sorrow, softly wept while futilely attempting to wipe away the tears with her tiny, dirt-stained hands. Ethan's heart, usually armored against sentiment, experienced an unanticipated pang as he observed the sorrowful tableau. He remembered that face, marred by the weight of time and suffering, yet unmistakable beneath the grime. It was as though fate had reunited him with a ghost from his past. The woman, whose eyes bore the silent testimony of countless sorrows, was none other than Isabella Monroe, the enchanting childhood love he had once admired from afar. In their school days, Isabella had been the object of his secret devotion, even as she had dismissed his awkward overtures with a mix of amusement and disdain. Now, however, fate had placed her in a situation so fragile and heartbreaking that Ethan felt compelled to intervene. With his pulse quickening, he stepped forward cautiously, every stride weighed down by the burden of their shared history and the gravity of the present moment. "Isabella?" he called, his voice trembling with a mix of disbelief and concern. The woman slowly lifted her head, her eyes widening in recognition as the sound of his voice cut through the ambient clamor of the street. For a fleeting moment, time itself seemed to pause. The distant sounds of the city faded, leaving only the unspoken memories that stretched between them. Yet the reunion was laden with sorrow rather than the youthful promise of lost love. Isabella's gaze dropped, and in that brief silence the pain of their diverged paths and the crushing weight of her current circumstances became achingly clear. "What happened to you?" Ethan pressed, unable to hide the genuine concern etched into every line of his face. Her lips quivered and she tightened her embrace around the two little girls, as if to shield them from further hurt. "I'm fine," she murmured weakly, her voice a fragile whisper that belied the depths of her despair. "Please, just go away, Ethan." But Ethan could not, in good conscience, let her suffer alone. The desperate sobbing of one child, whose hunger was as visible as the emptiness in her eyes, and the fearful, wide-eyed gaze of the other, spoke of a cruelty that no human should endure. "You're not fine," he said firmly, his tone soft yet resolute. "Come with me. I promise I'll help you." Isabella's protest was immediate. Her trembling voice rose in a plea. "No, I can't. I can't leave them here." Yet Ethan's determination was unwavering. "You must come with me. I refuse to let you and your precious daughters languish in the cold," he insisted, his words laced with a protective urgency that brooked no refusal. Reluctantly, Isabella allowed him to lead the way. Ethan swiftly dialed his trusted driver on his sleek smartphone. "Be here in 5 minutes," he instructed with brisk efficiency, then turned his attention back to Isabella. Extending his hand, he offered not only physical support but a promise of refuge, a promise that, despite past rejections, now carried the weight of sincere compassion. With hesitant acceptance, Isabella grasped his hand, and soon they found themselves boarding a waiting luxury vehicle. Ethan assisted her in settling into the plush interior, carrying one of the twins in his strong arms as Isabella clutched the other close to her side. The children, visibly drained by their ordeal, rested their weary heads upon their mother's shoulders. During the quiet drive to Ethan's expansive estate, a world away from the unforgiving urban streets, the oppressive silence between them spoke volumes. Isabella gazed out the window, her eyes distant and reflective, while Ethan stole glances at her, his mind swirling with questions about how life had delivered her to such a desolate crossroads. Upon arrival, the stately mansion loomed large, a sanctuary of warmth and order, its meticulously maintained gardens and glowing lights a stark contrast to the harshness of the world outside. "You don't have to do this, Ethan," Isabella murmured as she hesitated at the threshold of this new realm, still feeling the sting of her past and the unfamiliarity of luxury. "No more debate, Isabella," Ethan replied firmly yet kindly. "Come inside, rest, and have something to eat." The mansion's devoted housekeeper, Miss Kensington, greeted them with a look of surprised compassion, Ethan swiftly instructed her to ready a room for Isabella and her daughters. As Ms. Kensington attended to their needs, Ethan led the trio into a lavish yet inviting living room. He lit the fireplace, the flickering flames casting a gentle glow over the room, and soon arranged for a sumptuous meal to be prepared. Overwhelmed by the unexpected kindness, Isabella's eyes shimmered with unshed tears as her daughters settled beside her on a comfortable sofa. "Thank you, Ethan. I truly appreciate this," she whispered, her voice laden with gratitude and melancholy. Yet even as comfort enveloped the room, Ethan's thoughts raced. He knew this evening marked merely the beginning of a long journey toward uncovering the truth behind Isabella's tragic fall from grace. As dawn's early light crept through the tall windows of the mansion the following morning, Isabella awoke to a scene that felt almost surreal. Seated on the edge of a luxurious bed, she watched over her sleeping twins, now named Lila and Nora, whose peaceful expressions contrasted sharply with the grim reality of just one day before. Across the estate, Ethan sat in his elegant office, his mind still haunted by the harrowing image of Isabella on that cold sidewalk. He recalled the confident, radiant young woman he had once known, a young woman whose future had promised nothing but brilliance and success. Later that morning, Miss Kensington knocked gently on Isabella's door. "Ms. Monroe, breakfast is ready. Mr. Reynolds requests that you and the children join him downstairs." With quiet determination, Isabella roused her daughters, and together they descended into a sunlit dining room, where an abundant spread of fruits, breads, and freshly squeezed juices awaited them. The twins scampered to their seats, their innocent excitement momentarily masking the hardships of recent days. Ethan, dressed in a crisp white shirt that belied the gravity of his inner thoughts, welcomed them with a warm smile. "Did you sleep well?" he inquired, his tone both gentle and probing. Lila nodded eagerly, while Nora clutched her mother's hand, and Isabella admitted softly that it had indeed been the best night they'd had in a long time. As breakfast proceeded, an awkward silence filled the space until, once the children were whisked away to play under Miss Kensington's watchful eye, Ethan leaned forward across the table. "Isabella, we need to talk," he said, his gaze earnest and unyielding. In that intimate moment, as the mansion's refined elegance bore silent witness to their unfolding conversation, Isabella recounted the story of her past, a tale of youthful love, betrayal by a man named Dylan Hart, and the painful unraveling of her life following his abandonment. Tears welled in her eyes as she described the despair of being left alone to shoulder the responsibilities of impending motherhood and the cruel isolation that followed. Ethan's clenched fists and heavy silence spoke of the deep-seated anger and sorrow that such memories stirred within him. "No one deserves to endure this pain," he declared, his voice softening with compassion. "You are not alone anymore." Even as Isabella wrestled with the daunting challenge of rebuilding her life, a tentative spark of hope began to glow in her heart, a hope kindled by Ethan's unwavering support. As the day wore on, Isabella reluctantly resolved to accept his help, recognizing that her daughter's well-being must come before her pride. Later, when the twins were off enjoying the mansion's garden, Ethan and Isabella found themselves alone once more. "I will help you get back on your feet," he promised, his voice imbued with sincerity that transcended their troubled past, and though Isabella's heart trembled with uncertainty, she sensed that this new beginning might yet lead her toward a future brighter than the one she had known. Ethan Reynolds found himself in the midst of a quiet domestic moment as he wandered into the modern, sunlit kitchen of his sprawling estate. The clatter of dishes and the gentle hum of the morning seemed out of place amid the heavy emotions that had colored his recent days. Across the room, Isabella Monroe busied herself at the sink, her delicate hands immersed in soapy water as she meticulously cleared away the remnants of the previous evening's dinner. Despite the comfort of the elegant surroundings, a sense of unease flickered in her eyes, an unease born from a deep-rooted need to repay the kindness that had been so freely given to her and her two beloved daughters, Lila and Nora. "Isabella," Ethan said softly, approaching her with a warm, reassuring smile, "you really don't need to be doing the dishes." His tone was gentle, yet laced with concern, for he recognized the inner turmoil that had kept her awake on many restless nights. Yet Isabella insisted, her voice steady despite the fatigue that weighed her down. "I have to do something, Ethan. I can't just sit back and accept everything without offering something in return." Her words, simple yet poignant, echoed her unyielding desire to regain control of a life that had once been hers. Ethan sighed, his heart softening as he realized that the past was not so easily forgotten. "If that is how you feel, then fine," he replied with a subtle nod. "But first I want to ensure that Lila and Nora have everything they need." He paused, allowing the words to hang in the air. Isabella's eyes lowered as she recalled the worn-out clothes and scuffed shoes the twins had been forced to wear, reminders of the hardships they had endured on the unforgiving streets. "They could really use some new clothes and proper footwear," she murmured, her tone heavy with resignation. "Then let's not waste another moment," Ethan declared, his resolve unwavering. "We're going out to get exactly what they need." The determination in his voice left no room for debate. A short while later, Isabella, along with Lila and Nora, found herself amid the vibrant atmosphere of a bustling children's boutique in the heart of the city. Ethan trailed behind, his watchful gaze ensuring that the little ones were safe as they darted from one display to another. The store was filled with laughter and the soft murmur of excited voices, a stark contrast to the cold, indifferent world they had known just days before. Lila's bright eyes sparkled with hope as she clutched a shimmering blue dress to her chest. "Can I really have this, Mommy?" she asked, her voice trembling with delight. Isabella's heart ached at the sight, a bittersweet reminder of the innocence that still shone despite the darkness of their past. "Yes, my dear, you can," she replied, her voice filled with a mixture of gratitude and sorrow. Meanwhile, Nora, ever the more reserved of the two, held up a pair of pristine sneakers as if to silently ask for permission. "Me too, Mommy?" she inquired shyly, and with an emotional smile, Isabella nodded, murmuring, "Of course, my love." Ethan observed the scene with quiet satisfaction, feeling a profound sense of relief that the twins could finally experience a semblance of normalcy and joy. After carefully selecting a variety of new clothes, shoes, and a few charming toys, the group moved on to a quaint downtown restaurant for a leisurely lunch. The twins chattered animatedly as they sampled dishes and played together, their laughter gradually dissolving the lingering shadows of their past. Isabella's eyes glistened with unshed tears as she watched them, feeling a fragile but genuine relief in witnessing their happiness. "You've done so much for us today, Ethan," she said sincerely during a quiet lull between bites, her gratitude palpable in every syllable. Ethan waved off her praise with a modest smile. "I have only done what anyone should do," he replied casually, though his heart brimmed with a deep and abiding care for her and her children. Yet even amidst the tender moments, Isabella could not escape the ghosts of her past. Lowering her eyes, she admitted softly, "You're so much better to me than I was ever able to be." Sensing her lingering guilt and shame, Ethan gently interjected, "Isabella, the past is behind us now. What truly matters is the future we are building together." Though a subtle remorse lingered in her voice, she nodded in agreement. Upon returning to the estate, the twins rushed out to explore the manicured gardens, their new clothes a vibrant testament to the day's joy. Isabella watched them from the window of the living room, a small smile playing on her lips, a smile that hinted at safety and new beginnings. Standing beside her, Ethan remarked quietly, "They truly are extraordinary little girls," Isabella replied, her voice trembling with emotion. "They are my strength, my reason to persevere. Even in the darkest moments, they inspire me to keep moving forward." Ethan's eyes shone with admiration as he added, "You are stronger than you believe, Isabella. Surviving all that you have been through and still standing tall is a remarkable feat." With a gentle sigh, she replied, "Perhaps it is strength, or maybe sheer stubbornness. Either way, thank you." Later that morning, as the soft rays of sunlight filtered through the lavish curtains, Isabella awoke to find Lila and Nora peacefully asleep, their faces unburdened by worry. After dressing quietly, she descended the staircase and discovered Ethan in the kitchen, casually sipping his coffee while scanning the morning news. He greeted her with a cheerful, "Good morning," as he set aside his newspaper and gestured towards a freshly prepared breakfast spread. "I made coffee for you both," he added kindly, inviting her to join him at the table. As they sat together, a comfortable routine began to take shape. Ethan leaned forward and said, "Now that the girls are feeling more at ease, perhaps we can start focusing on you." Isabella blinked in surprise. "On me?" she echoed, the prospect both startling and strangely uplifting. "Yes," Ethan confirmed. "You mentioned wanting to return to work. What sort of job do you have in mind?" Isabella hesitated before confessing. "I don't have a strong academic background, so my options are limited, but I am willing to do whatever is necessary to support Leela and Nora." Ethan nodded thoughtfully. "What if, instead of merely working, you could pursue further studies to secure a fulfilling career?" His suggestion, though unexpected, sparked a flicker of hope in her eyes. "I don't have the time or resources for that," she protested, her voice edged with uncertainty. "I can manage with what we have," but Ethan was insistent. "I can help with the expenses and ensure the girls are well cared for while you study. Please consider it. Not just for you, but for their future as well." Isabella's eyes widened as she absorbed his words. Later that evening, after tucking the twins into bed, Ethan invited her to his private study. There, he presented a small envelope containing detailed information on business and entrepreneurship courses, a lifeline thrown gently into her troubled world. With trembling hands, Isabella revealed the papers, her mind awash with conflicting emotions of fear and possibility. "This is too much," she whispered. Yet Ethan's steady gaze and encouraging tone emboldened her to consider a future she had long thought unreachable. In the days that followed, as she navigated the initial challenges of balancing study with motherhood, Isabella found herself slowly rediscovering her inner strength. Ethan remained a constant pillar of support, providing encouragement whenever the academic journey seemed insurmountable. One fateful afternoon, while Isabella was deeply engrossed in her studies, Ethan entered the room with a grave expression. "We need to talk," he said, his tone leaving no room for delay. The sudden shift in his demeanor set her heart racing. "What is it?" she asked, her voice steady despite the sudden tension. Ethan revealed, "I have discovered someone from your past, Derek Stevens, the man who abandoned you when you needed him most." The name reverberated painfully in Isabella's mind, and a flood of bitter memories threatened to overwhelm her. "What does he have to say about it?" she managed to ask, her voice laced with a mix of apprehension and restrained anger. Ethan explained that he had sought out Derek, hoping to understand the full truth behind the betrayal that had shattered her life. "He admitted everything," he disclosed softly, his eyes filled with regret. "He confessed that he knew you were expecting but chose to vanish instead of facing responsibility." The revelation ignited a surge of emotion within Isabella, a tumult of anger, sorrow, and a desperate longing for closure. "Did he even mention Lila and Nora?" she demanded, her eyes brimming with tears. "No," Ethan replied, his tone heavy with disappointment. "He didn't even inquire about your girls." Overwhelmed by the revelation, Isabella's emotions churned like stormy seas. In that charged moment, Ethan placed a supportive hand on her shoulder. "Isabella, you don't have to face this alone. I'm here for you," he said gently. Despite her reluctance to let another person into the wounds of her past, the depth of his concern eventually broke through her hardened defenses. Later that night, as Isabella sat alone at the kitchen table with a cooling cup of tea, the echoes of Ethan's reassurance mingled with the lingering shadow of Derek Stevens. Determined to confront the ghosts that haunted her, she picked up the phone one morning and called him, her voice firm yet vulnerable as she said, "Derek, it's Isabella. We need to talk." Isabella Monroe sat alone in her softly lit study, her phone still warm from the conversation that had just ended. Earlier that evening, at around 20:36, she had reluctantly taken the call from Derek Stevens, a name that still sent shivers down her spine. His voice, cold and dismissive, had shattered any fragile hope she might have harbored. "About what?" she had asked, trembling slightly as she sought clarity. "It's been so long, but it's about the girls," he had replied curtly. "You've never cared to ask about them, and that silence must change for their sake." Derek's tone was unyielding and harsh, leaving no room for gentle reconciliation. Isabella's heart tightened as his words echoed in her mind. "Not for me, but for them," he had insisted, leaving a bitter aftertaste that confirmed his disinterest in taking any responsibility. The conversation spiraled further as Derek demanded, "What do you want me to say? That I'm sorry? Because I'm not." Her voice, though strained, remained steady. With quiet resignation, she responded, "So you'll never meet them, never take any responsibility?" His final words, laden with finality, "I've moved on, Isabella. I think you should too," had cut her deeply before the line abruptly went dead. Standing in the silent aftermath, Isabella clutched the phone, trying to process the overwhelming emptiness left by that call. It was a painful confirmation that Derek would never be part of her daughter's lives, a closure that hurt almost as much as it freed her from lingering illusions. Later that evening, as the twilight deepened outside the mansion, Ethan Reynolds found her curled up on the living room couch, with Lila and Nora sleeping soundly beside her. Sensing her inner turmoil, he settled quietly next to her, allowing the silence to speak, until she finally broke it. "I talked to Derek," she murmured, her voice a blend of sorrow and resolve. Ethan's expression darkened with a mixture of anger and protective concern. "And how did it go?" he asked softly, already knowing the answer. Isabella replied with a trembling sigh. "As expected. He doesn't want anything to do with them. He feels nothing at all." Ethan clenched his fists, his eyes burning with unspoken fury at the thought of the man's callous indifference. "I don't know what he's missing," he whispered, his tone heavy with regret for the opportunity lost to be a part of their lives. Looking at Lila and Nora, Isabella exhaled slowly. "I did it for the girls, Ethan. I needed to be sure that there was nothing left to expect from him," she confessed, her voice carrying both the weight of disappointment and the strength of her decision. "And now?" Ethan prompted gently. "Now, I move on. I refuse to let the shadow of a negligent father define our future," she declared with quiet determination. Ethan nodded, deeply admiring the strength and resolve Isabella was displaying. Even as pain lingered, a renewed determination began to shimmer within her. The next morning, in a gesture that underscored his unwavering support, Ethan surprised Isabella with a modest yet thoughtful gift. A sleek notebook paired with an elegant pen. Curiosity flickered in her eyes as she accepted the gift. "What's this for?" she inquired softly. Ethan explained, "It's a tool for planning your future. Write down your goals, the dreams you've tucked away, and let's work on making them a reality together." Touched by his kindness, Isabella managed a small, grateful smile. "Thank you, Ethan. I truly don't know what I'd do without you. You're here, rebuilding a part of my life I thought was lost forever." His reassurance was gentle but firm, a promise of hope and possibility. With Ethan's constant encouragement, Isabella plunged into her studies with renewed vigor. The painful confrontation with Derek, though deeply wounding, had also liberated her from the chains of her past. Days turned into weeks, and her once chaotic life began to settle into a rhythm of organized routine. Isabella devoted her time to both nurturing her daughters and pursuing her studies. Ethan, ever the steadfast pillar of support, remained close by, offering gentle guidance and unconditional care. Their bond deepened as they shared quiet moments, laughter, and small, meaningful gestures that spoke louder than words. One crisp afternoon, as Isabella was poring over her notes in the bright, airy living room, Ethan entered with a folder clutched in his hand and a mysterious, encouraging smile playing on his lips. "What's that?" she asked, setting her notebook aside. "An opportunity," he replied, handing her the folder. Inside, she discovered a set of documents and a preliminary contract bearing the header, "Project Assistant, Bennett Enterprises." Her brow furrowed in confusion. "Are you asking me to work for you?" she queried, hesitantly. Ethan's tone was earnest as he explained. "I'm not pressuring you, Isabella. I believe this could be a perfect way for you to begin your career, applying the knowledge you're gaining while still caring for Lila and Nora. It's a temporary position, designed with flexibility in mind." Isabella carefully reviewed the details, her mind racing with both hope and doubt. Though the offer was generous, she couldn't shake the feeling that working directly with Ethan might blur the lines between personal and professional. "I'm not sure I'm the right person for this," she murmured, her uncertainty palpable. But Ethan reassured her, "You have more potential than you realize. You're learning quickly and have already proven you can overcome challenges. This isn't just a favor, it's a chance to prove your worth." After a long contemplative pause, Isabella exhaled and offered a tentative smile. "All right. I'll do it." Ethan's face brightened with relief and pride. "You won't regret it. We'll take it step by step, and you'll soon see just how capable you truly are." The following morning, Isabella was introduced to Ethan's supportive team. Despite her initial trepidation, she soon discovered that each team member was patient and encouraging, eager to help her succeed. The job required keen organization, attention to detail, and the ability to meet tight deadlines. But Isabella embraced every challenge with quiet determination. Meanwhile, Lila and Nora adapted beautifully to their new routine, spending afternoons in the garden and filling the mansion with joyous laughter and vibrant energy. Ethan often joined their playful adventures, deepening his bond with the twins. One serene evening, while Isabella was reviewing reports in her modest office, Ethan returned with 2 steaming cups of tea. Placing one gently beside her, he remarked, "You're doing remarkably well." Isabella, her cheeks warming with both pride and gratitude, replied, "I still have so much to learn, but I'm enjoying every moment of this challenge." Ethan's encouraging words, imbued with quiet admiration, reinforced her growing confidence. "Thank you for believing in me, Ethan," she said softly, her voice full of sincere appreciation. Over the ensuing weeks, the relationship between Isabella and Ethan blossomed into something tender and profound. Small, intimate gestures, a lingering glance, a gentle touch, hinted at deeper feelings that neither dared fully acknowledge. One afternoon, during a spirited team meeting, Isabella surprised everyone with a brilliant idea to streamline project logistics. Ethan's eyes lit up with pride as he applauded her initiative. "An excellent suggestion, Isabella. We'll implement it immediately," he declared. Her heart swelled with newfound confidence, and in that moment she felt truly seen and valued. At the end of a long day, as they walked together to the parking area, Ethan stopped and looked directly into her eyes. "Isabella, do you realize how much you've grown since you first arrived?" he asked softly. She shook her head, a humble smile gracing her lips. "I still feel like I have so much to prove," she admitted. Ethan's response was tender and reassuring. "You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You are already extraordinary just as you are." In that suspended moment, with the world around them fading into insignificance, a deep, unspoken understanding passed between them. Later that night, as Isabella tucked Lila and Nora into bed, she reflected on the transformative journey of the past few months. Ethan's unwavering support, his kind gestures toward the twins, and the gentle encouragement he offered her had all coalesced into a beacon of hope, a promise of a future unburdened by the past. Yet, even as gratitude and love welled within her, a lingering fear of opening her heart remained. Meanwhile, Ethan found himself increasingly captivated by Isabella's resilience and quiet determination. Despite their complicated histories, he sensed an undeniable burgeoning connection between them, one that promised healing and the possibility of new beginnings. The following morning, as the twins played joyfully in the garden, Ethan approached Isabella in the kitchen. With a serious expression, he gently broached a topic that had weighed on his heart. "Isabella, can we talk?" he asked softly. Following him to the living room, they settled down and Ethan began, "There's something I've been meaning to tell you for a while now. I deeply admire your strength and resilience, but I can see you're still burdened by guilt." Isabella's eyes dropped as his words struck a tender nerve. "I know I've made mistakes in the past, Ethan. I was selfish, immature, and I hurt you. I'm truly sorry." Ethan's face softened with compassion as he replied, "The past is behind us now, Isabella. We've both changed, and what matters is the future we're building together. I forgive you, and I hope you can learn to forgive yourself." In that moment, as tears glistened in her eyes, not from sorrow, but from the relief of finally unburdening her soul, a profound weight was lifted from Isabella's heart. She looked into Ethan's calm, understanding gaze and whispered, "Thank you, Ethan, for everything." His gentle smile spoke volumes as he reassured her, "You don't need to thank me. I'm here because I believe in you." Ethan Reynolds and Isabella Monroe had reached a point where their guarded hearts seemed to melt away under the gentle warmth of understanding and mutual care. In the days that followed, Isabella sensed a newfound lightness, a delicate liberation in her soul that had long been buried beneath the weight of her past. She immersed herself in her work and studies with an enthusiasm that surprised even her, while Ethan remained her steadfast pillar, offering unwavering support at every step. One serene evening, after tucking Lila and Nora into bed, Isabella wandered into the garden and discovered Ethan seated alone in a vintage rocking chair. The soft luminescence of the moon cast silvered shadows upon his thoughtful face, and for a moment, the stillness of the night wrapped around them like a tender embrace. "Are you okay?" she inquired quietly, settling beside him on the cool stone bench. Ethan's smile was gentle as he replied, "Yeah, I was just reflecting on how dramatically our lives have changed. I remember that fateful night on the cold pavement, and I never imagined we'd find ourselves here today." Isabella's eyes glistened as she confessed, "Neither did I, but I'm truly grateful that fate brought us together." The silence that followed was not empty, but filled with the comforting cadence of shared memories and unspoken promises. After a while, Ethan broke the quiet, his voice soft and tentative. "Isabella, do you believe in second chances?" His question hung in the night air, pregnant with possibility. With a thoughtful smile and a twinkle of hope, she replied, "I think I'm beginning to. It feels as though I'm finally ready to trust again." Ethan's nod was slow and sincere, as if affirming that they were both stepping towards something extraordinary. A bond that was still in its tender infancy, but already held the promise of a bright future. Inspired by the fragile hope blooming between them, the following morning Ethan planned a surprise excursion that would draw the family closer. He arranged a spontaneous trip to a charming farm on the outskirts of the city, a welcome escape from the relentless pace of urban life. When Lila and Nora caught wind of the plan, their faces lit up with pure delight, their laughter echoing as they imagined a day of adventure. Although Isabella was initially taken aback by the sudden idea, gratitude quickly replaced her hesitation. The prospect of spending uninterrupted, meaningful time with both Ethan and her daughters was too precious to refuse. At the farm, the day unfolded like a gentle tapestry woven from joy and simplicity. The twins eagerly fed the farm animals, their tiny hands trembling with excitement as they petted friendly goats and petted curious lambs. They dashed through vast fields of swaying grass, their laughter mingling with the soft rustle of the wind. Later, they shared homemade ice cream under the expansive blue sky, each cool bite a small celebration of life's simple pleasures. Isabella, watching them with a heart full of tenderness, felt an unprecedented sense of belonging and connection. Ethan, too, appeared completely at ease, his laughter blending seamlessly with that of the children, as if he had been a part of their world from the very beginning. As the sun began its descent, painting the sky with hues of amber and violet, they returned home. In the backseat of Ethan's car, Lila and Nora dozed peacefully, their contented smiles a silent testament to the day's magic. Isabella's eyes followed Ethan as he drove with a contemplative calm. "Thank you for today," she murmured softly when the car finally halted. "There's no need to thank me," Ethan replied with a humble grin, adding, "It was a day meant for all of us, a glimpse of the beautiful future we can build together." His words resonated deeply with her, igniting a spark of belief that the future could indeed be bright. Back at the mansion, as dusk settled and the family dispersed into their evening routines, Ethan carefully carried the twins to their room, ensuring they were snug and comfortable before dimming the lights. Isabella stood at the doorway, moved by the tender care Ethan displayed. Later that night, lying in the quiet of her bedroom, she felt a profound readiness to leave behind the ghosts of her past. Ethan was right, she thought. Second chances truly do exist, and I cannot squander the one I've been granted. The following mornings brought with them a sense of vibrant renewal. The mansion, once echoing with loneliness, now hummed with life. Lila and Nora's joyful antics filled the halls, their laughter like a soothing melody that blended with the rustle of leaves outside. Meanwhile, Ethan gradually became more integrated into their daily routine, eagerly participating in everything from breakfast preparations to playful afternoons in the garden. One crisp morning, as Isabella prepared to accompany Ethan to an important business meeting, her heart fluttered with a mixture of excitement and nervous trepidation. Although the idea of stepping into Ethan's world of high-stakes negotiations was daunting, she was determined not to let her insecurities hold her back. At the grand entrance of Ethan's corporate headquarters, a building whose elegance and sophistication left her momentarily breathless, he greeted her with an encouraging smile. "Are you ready?" he asked softly. "More or less," she admitted, her voice tinged with nervous optimism. "Trust yourself, Isabella. You're more than capable." Inside the meeting room, where seasoned executives gathered around a polished table, Ethan introduced her as a promising new collaborator. Though the attention made her slightly self-conscious, she listened intently to every discussion, absorbing the intricate details of corporate strategy. When the opportunity arose for her to share an idea, her clear and thoughtful perspective won praise from one of the senior executives. "You have a very clear perspective," he commented warmly, and Isabella's heart swelled with pride. Following the meeting, Ethan treated her to a quiet respite at a nearby cafe. Over cups of perfectly brewed cappuccino, they exchanged reflections on the day's events. "You were amazing today," Ethan said, his tone both gentle and affirming. Isabella, still feeling the echo of her earlier anxiety, admitted, "I was nervous, but it was exhilarating to be part of something so significant." Ethan's reassuring smile and kind words reminded her that this was only the beginning of a long, fulfilling journey. In the gentle cadence of daily life, small yet significant moments wove a tapestry of deep connection between them. At home, the twins' laughter, the playful banter at family picnics, and the quiet evenings spent together gradually transformed the mansion into a haven of hope. One such afternoon, while lounging on a soft blanket in the garden during a spontaneous picnic, Ethan remarked, "You're growing so comfortable with the girls. They're such incredible children." Isabella's eyes shimmered with gratitude as she replied, "Thank you for taking such good care of them, Ethan. Their safety and happiness mean everything to me." His tender response, "They're a part of you, and that's more than enough for me," stirred emotions in her heart that went far beyond simple gratitude. As the seasons slowly changed, so did the contours of their relationship. Each day, as Isabella allowed herself to lower the defenses she had built for so long, Ethan's gentle persistence helped her embrace the possibility of love again. One starlit night, while preparing tea in the quiet kitchen, Ethan approached her with a vulnerability that took her breath away. "Isabella, there's something I need to say," he began, his voice soft but resolute. "Since you entered my life, everything has changed. You and the girls have filled a void I never knew existed. I care about you more than words can capture." Overwhelmed by his sincerity, she replied, "Ethan, I care about you too. But everything is still so new. I need time to let it all sink in." With understanding, Ethan nodded, replying gently, "I'm not asking you to rush. I simply want you to know how I feel." Their intimate conversation, though interrupted by the innocent call of a waking child, left an indelible mark on both of them. In the days that followed, as the bond between Ethan and Isabella deepened through countless small gestures, a shared cup of coffee in the morning, a comforting word during a challenging moment, the fear of the past gradually receded. Together, they faced each new day with hope and patience, ready to build a future where love and trust would flourish. "From the moment I saw you that fateful night, something within me shifted irrevocably. As we spent more time together, I gradually came to understand that the emotions stirring in my heart were unlike anything I had ever experienced before." Isabella's pulse quickened as Ethan's heartfelt confession washed over her. Though she had sensed her feelings deepening over time, hearing his words out loud rendered the intensity of their connection all the more tangible and undeniable. "Ethan, this is all so new for me," Isabella managed hesitantly. "I'm still trying to find my footing, to be strong for myself, and for Lila and Nora." Her voice trembled slightly, laden with the weight of past disappointments and the daunting prospect of opening her heart completely again. Ethan, with a look of sincere tenderness, responded, "I'm not asking you to rush, Isabella. I simply want you to know how I feel." He paused, gazing deeply into her eyes, where hope mingled with cautious apprehension. "From the moment I saw you that night, something changed inside me, and as we've grown together, I've realized that what I feel for you is extraordinary. Something I never imagined possible." His voice, both earnest and vulnerable, sent a thrill through her. Taking a deep breath, Isabella admitted, "I feel something for you too, Ethan, but I need time. I must be certain I'm ready to move forward." Ethan nodded in quiet acceptance, his eyes reflecting a promise of patience and understanding. "I'll wait as long as it takes," he vowed softly. At that moment, a distant rumble of thunder signaled an approaching storm. Isabella glanced toward the darkening horizon, feeling the cool breeze on her face. "We should head inside before it starts raining," she suggested. Ethan agreed, though the light in his eyes revealed that their conversation had irrevocably altered the dynamics between them. In the days that followed, the atmosphere between Isabella and Ethan grew increasingly charged with emotion. Their interactions were imbued with a subtle tension, a careful balance between the intimacy of their personal lives and the professional boundaries they were still learning to navigate. One memorable evening, Ethan decided to surprise Isabella with an exquisite dinner. He had arranged for the housekeeper to watch over Lila and Nora, and personally prepared a meal set at an elegantly arranged table in the dining hall. When Isabella descended the stairs and saw the beautifully set table, her breath caught in disbelief. "You did all this?" she asked, her voice a blend of astonishment and gratitude. With a gentle smile, Ethan replied, "I wanted to create something special for you." Over dinner, conversation flowed naturally as they shared stories about their childhoods, discussed work challenges, and spoke of dreams for the future. Isabella reflected softly, "I never imagined I'd be here given a chance to start over. And if it weren't for you, Ethan, I truly don't know where we would be now." He brushed aside any notion of heroism, replying, "I merely had the privilege of helping because you believed in yourself even when you couldn't see it." Reaching across the table, Ethan took Isabella's hand warmly. "I'll always believe in you, Isabella. Always." His touch, gentle and assuring, made her feel the protective walls around her heart beginning to crumble. After dinner, Ethan walked Isabella to her bedroom door. They stood in silence for a few heartbeats, simply looking into each other's eyes, savoring the fragile moment of intimacy. "Good night, Ethan," she whispered softly with a gentle smile. "Good night, Isabella," he replied. As she closed the door, Isabella leaned against it, her heart racing with the promise of a future she once thought was forever lost. That very night, as rain began to patter against the windows, both Ethan and Isabella drifted to sleep with a renewed sense of hope. In the ensuing days, their daily lives began to flow with an ease that both surprised and delighted them. Lila and Nora grew increasingly attached to Ethan, whose gentle nature and genuine affection won them over completely. Yet, amid the burgeoning closeness, Isabella occasionally battled lingering doubts. Not about Ethan's loyalty, but about whether she was truly ready to trust someone again. One afternoon, while Isabella was diligently working on reports in the office, her phone vibrated with an unexpected message from an unknown number. When she opened it, a photograph appeared, a snapshot of Ethan engaged in conversation with an elegant woman at a restaurant. The caption read, "Do you really know who he is?" Isabella's heart pounded in her chest. Though she understood Ethan maintained a professional and social life, the image unsettled her deeply. "Who is that woman? Why would someone send this to me?" she wondered, her mind awash with doubt. Later that day, as Ethan arrived home and found Isabella in the living room with Lila and Nora playing nearby, he immediately sensed that something was amiss. "Are you okay?" he asked, sitting beside her. With a hesitant sigh, Isabella showed him the message. Ethan frowned as he examined the image and explained, "That was merely a business meeting. She's a consultant we're hiring for a project." Though Isabella wanted to trust him, the message had cast a fleeting shadow over her burgeoning trust. "Why would someone send this to me, Ethan? It feels as if they're trying to warn me about something," she murmured. Ethan's voice was calm and reassuring as he said, Isabella, you must trust me. I would never do anything to hurt you." Looking into his transparent eyes, she admitted, "I want to trust you, Ethan, but this has caught me off guard. My whole life has been filled with disappointments, and it's hard to shake that fear." Gently, he held her hands and promised, "I understand, Isabella. I won't pressure you. I just want you to know I'm here to face everything by your side." In the days that followed, Ethan investigated the source of the message and discovered it had been sent by a resentful former employee he had dismissed months ago. He presented Isabella with the evidence, ensuring her that there was no cause for worry. Overwhelmed by relief and a tinge of guilt, Isabella recognized that she was still learning to trust, yet she also realized how far Ethan was willing to go to secure her emotional well-being. One quiet night, after tucking the twins into bed, Isabella entered Ethan's office. Finding him immersed in documents, she closed the door softly and asked, "Can we talk?" He looked up with gentle concern. "Of course, Isabella. What's on your mind?" Settling into a chair across from his desk, she spoke with quiet remorse. "I want to apologize for doubting you. I know the message shook me, but that isn't an excuse for my lack of trust. You've always been honest with me, and I need to be fair." Ethan's soft smile reassured her as he said, "There's no need to apologize. I understand how hard it is for you to let your guard down. I'm here to help, not to judge." Overcome with emotion, Isabella murmured, "You're so different from anything I've ever known, Ethan. It scares me, but it also makes me believe I can be happy again." With a tender look, he knelt beside her, gently wiping away a tear from her cheek. "You can be happy, Isabella, and you don't have to do it alone." In that moment, something within her shifted. Her long-standing defenses finally began to crumble. Later, as they strolled together in the park with Lila and Nora, Ethan watched Isabella play joyfully with the twins and felt an unshakable certainty. This was the life he wanted, a life shared with her and the girls. That evening, after ensuring the twins were safely in the care of the housekeeper, he led Isabella to the mansion's terrace, the very spot where they had shared so many pivotal moments. With a trembling voice filled with hope, he reached into his pocket and presented a small box, opening it to reveal a delicate ring. "Isabella, I want to spend the rest of my life with you and the girls. You have brought light and joy into my life in ways I never imagined possible. Will you marry me?" Tears welled in her eyes as she whispered, "Ethan, yes, I will." With that, he slipped the ring onto her finger and drew her into a loving embrace. The storm that had once loomed over their past now felt like a distant memory, clearing the way for a new chapter filled with love and promise. In the quiet aftermath of a tense conversation, Derek's voice, heavy with regret, resonated in Isabella's ears as he finally admitted, "I know I failed, Isabella, but I never learned how to be a father. I never did. That doesn't matter anymore." His confession, though bitter, underscored a painful truth. While he could never provide the care his daughters deserved, Isabella had found something entirely different in Ethan. To her, Ethan was everything Derek had never been and never could be. Isabella left the bar that night feeling an unexpected lightness in her step, a weight lifted from her heart. When she returned home, she discovered Ethan in the yard with the twins, Lila and Nora, busy setting up a play tent amid the soft glow of twilight. "How did it go?" Ethan inquired as she approached, his tone gentle yet curious. With a reflective smile, Isabella replied, "It went exactly as it needed to. I feel ready now to truly move on." Ethan's face softened into a proud smile as he enveloped her in a warm embrace, whispering, "I'm so proud of you." In the days that followed, Isabella immersed herself in planning their upcoming wedding and embracing this new chapter with Ethan and the girls. For the first time in years, she felt at home, not just within the elegant walls of Ethan's mansion, but in the love they shared and the laughter of Lila and Nora, which filled every corner of her life. On the morning of the wedding, as sunlight streamed softly through the curtains, Isabella stood before a mirror, her nerves tempered by an undeniable radiance. Dressed in an elegant white gown, she marveled at the transformation in her life, each change a testament to resilience and hope. The twins, adorned in outfits reminiscent of little princesses and clutching delicate bouquets of freshly picked flowers, burst into the room. "You look beautiful, Mommy!" Lila exclaimed with sparkling eyes, and Isabella's heart swelled with maternal pride as she responded, "Thank you, my darlings. You both look stunning as well." With her emotions brimming over, Isabella walked down the aisle towards Ethan, who waited for her with anticipation and tenderness. Their eyes locked in that timeless moment, erasing every doubt and fear that had once haunted her. The wedding was intimate and sincere, a celebration not only of their union, but of the newfound family they had forged together. Every vow spoken was laden with meaning, reaffirming the bond they had built over time. As the ceremony concluded, the twins ran into Isabella and Ethan's arms, their joyful squeals blending with heartfelt laughter. In that moment, the future, once uncertain and fraught with sorrow, shimmered with the promise of happiness and togetherness. In the days that followed, life at Ethan's mansion blossomed with a vibrant energy. The twins quickly adapted to the warmth of a complete family, and Isabella finally experienced the profound sense of belonging she had longed for. Their mornings were filled with the chirping of birds and the gentle hum of busy household routines. One crisp morning, as Isabella awoke to the sound of birdsong, she turned to find Ethan watching her with a peaceful smile. "Good morning, Mrs. Bennet," he said warmly, and with a soft laugh she replied, "Good morning." His use of her new last name, Bennet, symbolized the fresh start they were embarking on together. Their early months of marriage were marked by gratitude, renewal, and the steady support Ethan provided as Isabella balanced her work, studies, and family life. He made a point of being present for every important milestone in the twins' lives, whether it was celebrating small academic achievements or reading bedtime stories that filled their nights with wonder. One afternoon, while Isabella was diligently organizing paperwork in her office, a wave of exhaustion hit her unexpectedly. Despite her reassurances of merely feeling tired, Ethan's concern was unmistakable. It might just be exhaustion, she tried to dismiss, yet Ethan gently insisted. "It wouldn't hurt to get it checked out, Isabella. I want to make sure you're taking care of yourself." Reluctantly, she agreed and scheduled a doctor's appointment. What followed was a twist neither had anticipated. After routine examinations, the doctor's cheerful words echoed through the sterile room. "Congratulations, Mrs. Bennet. You're pregnant." For a moment, Isabella sat in stunned silence, the gravity of the news sinking in. The thought of nurturing another life, a child born of their love, filled her with both joy and an overwhelming sense of surprise. When she returned home, she found Ethan in the living room, playfully engaging with Lila and Nora. Summoning her courage, Isabella called him aside. "Ethan, can we talk for a moment?" she asked softly. The twins were gently ushered away, leaving the couple alone. With a steady gaze, Isabella revealed her news. "I went to the doctor today and found out I'm pregnant." For several heartbeats, Ethan was silent, absorbing her words until his face broke into a broad, joyful smile. "You're pregnant?" he echoed, and with tears welling in her eyes, Isabella nodded. "Yes, we're going to have a baby." Overcome with emotion, Ethan pulled her into a fervent embrace, exclaiming, "This is amazing, Isabella!" In the following weeks, their home brimmed with excitement as they began to prepare for the newest member of their family. Lila and Nora were overjoyed at the prospect of welcoming a baby brother or sister, and eagerly participated in choosing clothes and decorating a cozy nursery. One quiet evening, as the twins slept soundlessly, Isabella and Ethan sat together, reflecting on the trials and triumphs that had led them to this moment. "It feels like we've overcome so much in such a short time," Isabella murmured, tenderly caressing her growing belly. Ethan nodded, his eyes shimmering with love. "Every challenge has brought us closer and made this moment even more precious." In that intimate space, surrounded by love and the promise of a bright future, they realized that despite the hardships they had endured, they were building a life filled with hope and unbreakable bonds. As the due date neared, life in the Bennet household continued to be a blend of joyful anticipation and tender care. During a routine checkup, however, the doctor advised Isabella to take extra rest due to a slight risk of complications. Upon hearing this, Ethan became even more attentive, taking on additional household responsibilities to ensure Isabella could relax completely. "I don't want you worrying about anything except for your own well-being and the baby," he reassured her, his voice firm yet gentle. Isabella could only laugh softly. "You're spoiling me too much, Ethan." Then, on one calm evening as a gentle breeze stirred the curtains, Isabella went into labor. Though anxious, Ethan's calm presence steadied her as he swiftly accompanied her to the hospital. Hours later, the sound of a newborn's cry filled the delivery room with indescribable joy. It was a boy, healthy, strong, and full of promise. Ethan cradled their son with overflowing emotion, whispering, "Welcome to our family, my son." Soon, Lila and Nora were ushered into the room, their delighted faces lighting up as they met their new brother, vowing silently to always care for him. In that precious moment, as Ethan held the baby and the twins' laughter echoed softly in the background, Isabella felt complete. What had once seemed an impossible dream had transformed into a living, breathing reality. A home filled with love, unity, and resilience. As days turned into weeks and weeks into months, Isabella and Ethan continued to nurture their blossoming family with care and hope. Their journey, filled with challenges and joyous milestones, had ultimately led them to a place where each day was a testament to love's enduring power. And as they looked forward to the future, every smile, every shared tear, and every whispered word promised that together they could overcome anything.